Altered State Adventures, The Mutiny of Baator, Part 5.
And you will see two adventurers with a destiny. Their blades are sharp, but their aim is true. Facing danger, not good for you. Altered State Adventures. Altered State Adventures. Altered State Adventures. Altered State Adventures.
Almost a month had passed since Pazrael and Krumpet had left the horror of the dig site. The heat of the desert now seemed like a distant memory as the cold, relentless rain poured down upon them. The restless sea had rocked the merchant ship from side to side with swift rises and violent falls. But now the waves were beginning to calm. The ocean took on a sheen of placidity as the waves fell quiet and the air began to clear. Pazrael emerged from the rear quarters, holding an empty bottle. He found Krumpet bent over the side railing, and presumed that seasickness had finally taken him.
There's never enough grog for these long voyages, is there, Krumpet?
Krumpet said nothing. He just stared intently at the sea below.
Are you okay, Crumbs? Not feeling poorly, are you?
Pazrael noted that several of the crew were presently staring at them.
Look there! Do you see it?
Said Krumpet, desperately searching for an unknown entity.
What's that?
Said Pazrael, not diverting his eyes from the crew members.
Some bloody creature is what it is. Lurking down there in the deep, probably following us. How long do we have left on this blasted vessel?
The crewmen seemed agitated, restless. The storm may have passed, but now the ship threatened to explode into chaos at any given minute.
It might be less time than you think.
Krumpet turned to face his friend, and as he did so, the sea creature showed its head and spat a ripple of seawater that narrowly missed Krumpet's face.
Ah! Blasted thing!
Yeah, I'd rather you focus more on what's happening on board this ship than overboard, Crumbs.
What's that now? Do we have trouble?
Yeah, very possibly. I believe the proximity of this tablet has grown too much for them. Suppressed or not, its power has reached them.
Let's take them. We can take them. I'll get right to it.
Yeah, and who would sail the ship, Krumpet? Just stay calm. We're nearly at port. We can...
The crewmen had reached their limit. The calling had grated upon them, teased them, clawed away at them from the moment these two travelers had bargained their voyage and stepped onto their ship. How dare they bring this sorcery on board? How dare they keep their secrets? How dare they not divulge whatever treasures they held so precious to them? The calling was too much of a temptation, too much of a burden. Why should they remain on the other side of this secret, on board their own ship? The audacity of these men. The cost of passage now seemed irrelevant. The crew deserved to know. The crew deserved to share. And the crew would choose the fate of their unwanted guests. The dark grey clouds that spewed and tormented the waves below had passed. But now, a second coming had appeared, chasing after the initial storm. The waves grew gradually, as once again, the rain began to fall. On the deck of the now listing ship, Pazrael and Krumpet stood firm, hands close to weapons, as four men approached.
Me and the boys been thinking.
Have you now, eh? Yeah, and we're thinking. We want to looking at what it is you've been holding.
We have paid for our passage here. Land is on the horizon. There's no need for trouble.
The only trouble here is you not doing what we ask. Give us the bag.
I won't do that.
Nah, we won't do that. Well, then it looks like we've got some trouble after all, don't it?
There is nothing special for you here. Nothing is to be gained from this.
Well, why can't we be seeing it then? Why all the secrets? Some have been hearing you speak of a tablet in the corners of the ship.
It's for your own safety.
And what about your safety?
As the crewmen slowly stepped forward, Krumpet's agitated state increased, his temper threatening to boil over. His axe now gripped tightly in his palm. He stood poised for action.
Please, we are merely transferring a dangerous item from one location to another. There's nothing of importance here. No treasure, nothing to be gained, only temptation.
Well, maybe we be wanting some temptation.
Just back away, brute!
Krumpet scowled. The crewmen reciprocated.
Just give me the fucking bag, little man.
No, you must!
Give it to me!
Shouted the nearest crewman as he reached out an arm to grab the bag from Pazrael. Krumpet reacted with blinding speed as a shining arc of metal swung through the air, his axe severing the man's hand with ease. The crewman screamed in agony and fell backwards as he clutched at his bloody stump that was once a forearm. Warm blood spurted into the air and fell amidst the cold rain. The close quarters left no room for a bow, and so Pazrael reached for his sais, lifting them just in time to catch the descending blade of one of the crewmen. He thrust his weight forward and pushed the man back. Krumpet stepped in front of his friend and lifted his shield high, his axe ready to swing.
Come here, fuckers.
Now the remaining crewmen circled, with Pazrael and Krumpet in the center. The wails and cries of the fourth crew member continued in the background as he picked up his arm and called for vengeance. More crewmen began to emerge from the ship's underbelly, faces of intrigue, frowns of confusion. Some of them demanding to know what was happening, others fueled by the pain their colleague was in. The crowd quickly grew around them. All the while Pazrael and Krumpet, now back to back, never took their eyes from the immediate threat. Pazrael weighed their options. The railing was close, they could both jump, but the sea below was just as violent. There was still some distance to the shore, and Krumpet had already spotted a less than friendly-looking creature lurking in the depths.
It doesn't have to be like this.
What the hell is going on here?
Said a man that appeared to have more stature than the others, stood taller than the rest.
We're being attacked is what's bloody happening. Back away from them now! Stand down, men!
And as most of his men fell away, still the three remained.
I gave an order. But they... Look what they did, Captain!
The crewmen pointed to their newly dismembered friend. The rain fell heavy now, as the captain stepped between his passengers and his disobedient crew members.
I said, stand down,
repeated the captain. The men obeyed, and the captain turned to face the travelers. Pazrael and Krumpet remained vigilant, but silent as the captain spoke.
I don't know what happened here, and I don't much care to know who started it. But as far as I'm concerned, you've paid for safe passage on my ship, and that is what I offer you.
He turned to cast an eye over his men, paying particular attention to the wounded.
But as soon as we land, I offer you these words of warning. I won't control these men when we set foot on terra firma. So I suggest that when we do, you put some distance between yourselves and me men. Savvy?
Indeed, we will,
said Pazrael. Krumpet nodded in agreement.
Thank you for your honor, Captain. Just keep yourselves to yourselves until then.
The captain turned with finesse and made his way back to his cabin, his men parting with fear and reverence. Pazrael and Krumpet returned the stares of hatred and confusion with indifference, as they waited patiently for land to arrive. As the green and humid land of Ptolemesho approached, the storm finally erupted overhead. The crew were on autopilot, an organized chaos of barking orders and laborious procedures to prepare the ship for berth. She slowed gently as they approached the jetty, the helmsman working hard to maintain control against the growing waves. Pazrael and Krumpet stood alert and ready to depart at the earliest sign.
I feel like the rain follows you around, you know.
Pazrael glanced down at the dwarf.
Very possibly, Crumbs.
Krumpet stirred, clearly desiring conversation to dispel the growing anxiety.
So why did we charter this ship anyway?
Because it was the only one travelling to Tulamisho.
Did you notice the ship was called Unsinkable 2?
Yeah, I did. Why?
Well, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what happened to the first one?
As the ship came alongside the quay and the gangplank was successfully affixed to firm ground, Pazrael and Krumpet wasted no time in being the first to traverse the rickety wooden board and depart the vessel. A brief look back confirmed the sensation that Pazrael felt as the eyes of a small crowd of crew members burned into him, their expressions filled with malicious intent. Hustling their way through the local populace of the small port, Pazrael and Krumpet found themselves quickly emerging into the cobblestone roads of a quaint little town. The larger-sized stone buildings of the quayside gave way to smaller, detached abodes and shops.
The Haven of Qatar,
said Pazrael matter-of-factly. Krumpet held his shield above his head to cover himself from the pouring rain.
Not much going for it, has it?
Pazrael shrugged.
I don't know. Seems nice. Quiet.
With dusk setting in over the jungle lands of Tulamisho, the enticing lights and sounds of a local bar attracted Krumpet's attention.
What's our plan, Paz?
We need to find a place to rest, Crumbs, and to get out of this damn rain. We can continue our search tomorrow when the town comes back to life. Hopefully people will be more...
Yeah, that's a good idea, bro. But after that little trip of ours, I reckon I could settle for a few beverages tonight before turning in, eh? What do you say?
Pazrael glanced back in the direction of the port. The crowd was thinning fast as people fled to take shelter from the storm. But amidst the frantic movement, something seemed odd, out of place. A collection of shadows that hugged the walls and moved with an entirely different pace.
Yes, why not, Krumpet? Let's have ourselves a drink.
Inside the tavern, the atmosphere was fueled by excited tales of the sea. A continuous chime of tankards clinking and spilling their contents filled the background as journeys on the open sea and adventures upon the restless waves were shared. In the far corner, a man with a tremendous beard roared his own personal yarn, as flirtatious women, showing far too much skin, draped over his shoulders. Pazrael and Krumpet took in the ambience, ordered themselves an ale, and sat with their backs against the wall.
Now that's the sort of man I admire. Look at him. Look at the audience he has. Filled with respect and admiration, that lot. And look at those ladies too. Patting his hands, I bet.
Pazrael smiled faintly, but said nothing, his eyes never straying too far from the entrance.
That should be us, telling our tales over there, eh, Paz?
I'm more the quiet kind myself. Never felt the need to be the centre of attention.
Krumpet noticed the slump in his friend's demeanour.
Huh? What's wrong with you? You don't seem yourself.
Did you not see the shadows behind us? I think we're being followed, and I'm pretty sure I know who by.
Is that why you haven't taken your eyes off the door then?
Indeed. Let's just buy ourselves some time here, and try not to drink too much, in case we need to...
Krumpet bellowed with laughter.
Me? Drink too much? You don't know me well enough, my friend. There's not enough drink in one place for me to have too much. You know one thing I can tell you though, my bro. Whatever happens, I've got your back.
Pazrael finally dropped his gaze and turned to face his newly found friend. And with a genuine smile stretched across his face, he was about to reciprocate his loyalty when a single word struck his ear, almost as if the world around him had fallen silent for that one split second so that it may be heard. Now, Pazrael's attention lay solely upon the distressed preacher across from them. As he made his way over to the man, Krumpet followed, puzzled and bewildered.
Excuse me, sir,
said Pazrael, as unthreateningly as he could muster. The priest turned to face him.
Huh? Can I help you, son?
I hope you can, Father. I couldn't help but overhear. You mentioned a tablet.
The priest chuckled to himself.
Yes, I did indeed. I was just talking to my companion here who, seems to have fallen asleep. Or maybe he has been asleep for some time now. Who knows?
Krumpet gently nudged the sleeping man, who promptly fell out of his chair and slumped down onto the ground. He shrugged and sat down on the recently vacated seat.
And what can you tell us about this tablet, good sir?
The priest eyed the newcomers with a paranoid curiosity, but the volume of alcohol he had consumed helped alleviate his worries. As Pazrael pulled up another chair, the priest retold his story of the crazed man that had recently entered his church.
Hi, this is Pazrael. If you're enjoying this tale, why not give us a like? That would really help. And don't forget to subscribe for any upcoming chapters and stories.